Maye Musk, first of all, thank you very much for accepting this interview for Dün, Bugün, Yarın, the name of our show, which means yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
That's wonderful.
Through this amazing book, which I read, and I am, advising everyone to read it, because more than advices here, more than fashion, health, diet, it's a life story. It's a life story of a woman, of a lady, amazingly strong, a survivor, who had to go and who had to start life many times from zero, again and again. She didn't get tired, she fought, and she has raised amazing 3 children. So it's an amazing book. It made me inspire. And what made you write this book, first of all, to begin with?
I didn't know I had a story to tell. I've given lectures around the world about nutrition because I'm a dietitian, nutrition related to, say, diabetes and heart disease and eating well and just general wellness, and then also how to run your own business as a wellness professional. So that I never spoke about myself at all, and I didn't think I had a story. But then my literary agent started reading articles about me, about my life, and she said, "You have a life story." I said, "Not really." So she said she wanted me to dictate my whole life and the lessons I've learned. Mm-hmm. So I told my kids, and all 3 of them said, "Talk about your struggles, because you look great on Instagram, but you have to talk about your struggles." And I said, "Yeah, I don't really like sharing struggles because it's negative." But they said, "But you've been through them all, and people have to know." Mm-hmm. So then I started from childhood till when I am now, 2 years ago. And it seems like many women and many men actually relate to the problems I've had, to the troubles, to the hardships. And they just feel inspired that there is a chance for them to get out of an unhappy situation and to start their life over. And I had no idea my book would go worldwide. No idea of that.
Many times, as we said, at different parts of your life, you had to restart. It is so interesting how we can find resilience when we're at the bottom, when we're at the weakest, actually. During those difficult times, what was your motivation on regaining the strength?
Yes, well, when you change a city or change a relationship, business or personal, it is scary. You don't know what's on the other side. You don't know if you're going to survive. You don't know how you're going to survive. And you just have to plan it well so that you can just keep going for the first few months. Mm-hmm. And you have to get out and you have to meet people, and you have to do social media so that people know where you are, so that they know they can connect with you. And you have to find your work that way as well as your social life. Although now we don't have a social life.
Yeah, we're socializing from Istanbul to LA. I'm very happy. You're a true survivor, as I said, as a single mother of 3. In your 30s, you have raised them with little money, working at 2 different jobs. What is a survivor in your own words?
I had run away from a very bad marriage. So every day, I didn't wake up in the morning with fear. So that's a big plus. Your only fear is, will I earn enough this week to feed my kids? And I could get secondhand school uniforms. Public schools were very inexpensive. I could get secondhand books for them. So I didn't have too much stress that way. But I just needed to make sure I have enough food. And we just had kind of a vegetarian diet. And then when I would have a modeling job, where I have a little more money, and then I would buy a chicken, and we'd have a chicken for dinner. So you can survive on very little. We never went out for dinner. We didn't go to the movies. It was fine. I cut their hair. I cut my hair. I gave them manicures and pedicures. Did my own. So the luxuries you don't have, but if you live without fear, it's still great.
So living without fear is one of your mottos, we can say.
Yes.
But prudently, you say.
Yes, you have to be, you just have to be aware and make changes when you're in a bad situation. And even, I mean, I'm still learning. I'm still being in a business thing or a personal thing. People are not as nice as you think they should be, or work hard enough, or don't work like as hard as I do. Nobody does, I think. Oh no, my 3 children do. But we work very hard. And then you don't understand why people are like that, because they pull you down a bit. So I learn every day, but now I'm doing very nicely.
All your 3 children, they became brilliant. They succeeded well in life, in their careers. One of them is a technology giant who is launching rockets.
Launching one tonight.
Yes. So it's a symbolic day interview for me too. The other one is a filmmaker and a director.
Tosca is now in Italy. She did all the COVID stuff. Her team are in Italy to shoot a movie for Passion Flicks, because it takes part in Italy. So you have a lot of COVID stuff, COVID official all the time, and you get 3 COVID tests a day. So it's harder to do it. But she posted a beautiful picture from the Passion Flicks set.
That's amazing. And the other one is a chef.
Yes, so, Kimberly's doing great. We're doing a big launch for Big Green, which is his vegetable and fruit gardens for underserved kids. And then he's trying very hard to make his restaurant survive. It's very hard on the restaurant industry.
What is your advice to the parents? Because you have, as someone who has raised amazingly successful children, on how to guide their children to a happy and successful life?
When I grew up with my parents, they didn't actually tell me what to do at all, nor did they tell my brothers and sisters. So we pretty much went the way we wanted to. And I wanted to study sciences because that's what I enjoyed, math and science. And then my dad said, well, after you've done your sciences, you might as well have an occupation. So then I specialized in dietetics and nutritional sciences. And then I had to go to an Afrikaans university, so I had to learn another language and do it. But again, I had a choice. My parents would send me. Schooling was not so expensive in South Africa. So they were willing to let me go anywhere. And instead, I stayed home and learned a new language and studied and got my Bachelor of Science degree. So again, they didn't give me much advice at all. In the same way with my children, I said, all right, we moved to Toronto. My funds were blocked in South Africa. We're in a rent-controlled apartment. I'm a research officer at the University of Toronto. You can come here for free to study medicine or law. No, they wanted to study. Elon and Kimball wanted to study business. Tosca wanted to study film. I said, you're on your own. They got all their grants together. They got their loans together. And I don't know if I signed them. I certainly didn't read them. I was working 5 jobs at that stage. So I certainly wasn't reading those forms. And they went their own way. And
in your book, you're telling about it. When was the last time they saw your credit card?
Yes.
I don't want to tell all about it to the viewers, but it was after a dinner, I believe.
Yeah, but the funny thing was, so I said, it's the last time I pay, they see my credit card, because of course, it took me so long to get a credit card in Canada. It was a Canadian credit card in America. And then they still couldn't get a credit card for a while. So they still had to use my card, but at least they were paying for it, They had to be co-signers on my card until they could get a credit rating in America and get their own credit cards.
So this book, the name of this amazing book is When a Woman Makes a Plan. As I read it, I know that you wanted to give it another, you were thinking of giving it another title, but then you came up with the When a Woman Makes a Plan. Indeed, does this title relate to en boor maak een plan, the South African proverb your parents used to refer at whenever there was an issue to be resolved in the house?
Yes, well, I wanted the book called Struggles and Survival, but they thought that was they didn't think it was catchy enough, my literary agents and my editors. So then There is a saying, it actually wasn't my parents because they were Canadian. They couldn't speak Afrikaans, but 'n boer maak 'n plan is what you would hear everyone would say it. English or Afrikaans would say a farmer makes a plan. But my parents agreed with it because my dad had been in the farmlands of Saskatchewan in Canada. And he said, it's like gambling because the weather affects your crops.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he said, so a farmer always has to make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
So he would say that he agrees with a boer maak 'n plan. But that's quite an Afrikaans saying. And we would say it, I mean, if things don't go right, a boer maak 'n plan. You make a plan and you make a change.
I got to learn this too.
As your pronunciation was pretty good.
Thank you. At 69, you became a cover girl spokesmodel, and today you're a grandmother of 12. You're opening a new chapter for the fashion industry. You're hitting the runways of the famous designers around the world. You're an icon who has made silver the new blonde. You're a true diva who has a great posture, body, and amazing beauty and grace. And also you're erasing that obstacle, that age obstacle for many of us women, actually. What would you say on this?
I'd say there shouldn't be an obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no obstacle for men, why is there an obstacle for women? Do you think men in their 70s are ignored and considered not relevant? Women need to support each other through their ages, and men have to support women. And if the men aren't supporting the woman, or there's a discrimination there, they need to be called out. We have social media now, and we can take advantage of that. Because I haven't had that discrimination. First of all, I would ignore it if people said, oh, you're old, so I'm not interested in booking you. I'm not for everyone, but in the modeling business, as a speaker, I am for everyone, because even the young women and men are happy to hear that there's hope for them when they get to 30, get past 30. Women are ignored actually worldwide, which was very surprising to me. I thought it was in America because I've been on many panels with women who are my age, and they have been discriminated against. They've been in a company, they've been the best, they've been the most efficient, the most intelligent, the most educated, and they've been ignored because they want a man in charge. And they have felt it. I haven't felt it because as a dietitian, it doesn't matter what age you are, as long as you maintain your accreditation as a registered dietitian, you are considered an expert in your field. And most dietitians are women. 95% of dietitians are women, around that.
I didn't know that.
Yes, so you're not discriminated as a woman. Then as a model, women get paid more than men and get more jobs than men. And as I got older, I always modeled as an older person. I didn't try to look younger because, first of all, I was a dietitian. I didn't know my modeling would go past 18 because I was told it wouldn't. And now I'm so excited and talking about tomorrow. Next month, I move to New York because it's the fashion center. Because Elon has moved to Texas. Tosca has moved from LA to Atlanta, Georgia. And I came here for them. They wanted me here. And now I can do my own thing. I'm going to be living
because from your book, I read it too. You wanted to live in New York, but then your daughter told you, please come to LA.
Well, I was in New York for 13 years, and now I've been here for 8 years. But now she's left and Elon's left. I don't need to be here. I can see the grandkids. I can fly to them. But now I need to work on my career.
That's amazing.
I know.
It's amazing. I love New York too. So it's always hectic.
I had so many friends there and they're excited I'm coming. So that's great.
I hope you will have a great time there.
I will.
Yes. And talking about the age, what would you, for instance, I'm wondering, advise to May at her 40s, looking from now?
In my 40s,
Yeah.
that's when I moved to Canada. And I was struggling at all, but it wasn't an age related, because, I mean, they took me on immediately at the University of Toronto for research work. And then I did my second Master of Science degree. So then, but age isn't a problem in science. When I was a model, I was surprised that they needed an older model, but they always need just one older model. They would need it for a runway show, Mother of the Bride. They would need it for grandmother ads. So at 42, I did my front cover grandmother ad because they didn't have any other older models. And then there was many medications. They needed older women for medical, like arthritis, diabetes. You can't use an 18-year-old model. So then, in the catalog, they would always want one older model with the rest of the young models. And I was in demand, and that was great.
But many of us women, us ladies, when we're around our 40s, we start saying, oh, you're 40, I'm 40, I can't do this, life is passed by, you know. What would you advise to these ladies?
Yeah. Somebody say that to me, and I'll say that's absolute nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. My life started at 40 when I moved to Toronto. My life started at 50 when I moved to the States. You know, now I'm going back to New York. Now my life's going to start. I'll be 73 and ready to go. So there is no need for you to think that way. And if anyone is telling you that, then they must go away. You just mix with people who find you, but then again, you can't complain about your age. You can't say, oh, I'm old and nobody wants me. Well, don't even go there.
Many like this who are
well, then they will be old. If they talk that they say they're old, then they are old. I never felt old. I still don't feel old. So people believe me.
And you're not. And you're not old.
Exactly. Thank you.
You're full of energy, which is amazing.
Right.
Yes. You've had an abusive marriage and you never got married again. Would you consider getting married from now on? Is it because you didn't, it's because of the marriage, what you went through, that experience, that you didn't reconsider it? Or just...
No, I didn't expect, I mean, when I dated after I got divorced, any man who showed any kind of aggressiveness, I would stop dating him immediately. So that wasn't the problem. The problem is I would date someone and be a nice, like, you know, you're happy and all this. And then you say, well, I don't want him for the rest of my life. And I don't want another divorce. Marriage can be fine, but a divorce is not fun. So if I don't want him for the rest of my life, then there's no point. If they want that, it's no point for you to pursue it. And I didn't meet someone that I would want for the rest of my life. And also when I would meet men, even my 50s, my late 50s, they would be complaining. They complained about their life. They were sad, they were old, they were miserable, or they were young and complaining. I mean, I'm going to meet a man who is interesting to me, he has to have a sense of humor. He has to be fun to be around. He mustn't be or full of misery and regrets. I don't want to listen to their miserable lives. You know, as a dietitian, I would hear about a lot of problems men and women have regarding which led to stress, which led to poor eating habits. And so I would sort out their lives, and I'll say, you will leave that job because you are not happy there and it's making you eat donuts every day. And they were terrified. Nobody had told them that. They were on therapy and everything. They said, therapy is more expensive than me. And then they would leave their job and they'll say, it's the best thing that happened, because then you're inspired to eat well again and to feel good about yourself. If you have a boss you don't like, you've got to move on and find out. You cannot sit and be insulted or unhappy or insecure. I mean, I lost my confidence many times in my life, and it's hard to get it back. But when you're away from negative people, it does help.
Yes, that's very true. I'm also keeping myself away from negative people.
Good.
As much as I can. Yes, talking about the diet, the myth of kale or gluten-free food, you don't support it.
kale is very healthy for you, just like all vegetables and fruit, but it's too bitter for me. So when it's bitter, I don't like bitter foods. They say, oh, but it's good for you. I say, yes, but it doesn't taste good. But now it's only because I'm a super taster and I taste bitterness in black coffee or in wine or in olives. It's too bitter for me. So that's why, and now many people are relating to that because they are super tasters. Like I think 25% of people are super tasters, but they didn't realize they had a problem because they would eat kale and not like it. I mean, I eat Brussels sprouts, I eat broccoli. You know, you can eat many foods that are delicious to you, but you need to get your fruits and vegetables in. And then when it comes to gluten-free, if you have celiac disease, it's a very serious case and you have to go gluten-free. But if you're concerned about that tiny bit of protein in wheat, rye, or barley, that you think will affect you, you probably are wrong. You probably are thinking more, it's keeping you, if you go gluten-free, it's keeping you away from a cake and cookies. And a gluten-free cookie is not a healthy cookie, it's still a cookie. And there's so much processing that goes into gluten-free, and it's expensive. And you don't have celiac disease, you just have to eat better.
Yes. Also about sugar. Are you sugar-free? Do you eat sugar, or do you eat coconut sugar, organic ones? Or how is your diet like yourself?
Organic coconut, I don't care about that. It's still sugar. I love it so much. Don't bring me
a lot.
No, I can't. I gain weight because I don't have a stop point. You know, give me a box of chocolates, I will eat it until I go into a food coma. Because it's so delicious to me. And when I go out to dinner and they'd say, oh, let's just give a variety of desserts, I never order dessert because I go crazy. So then crazy, like I eat more than anybody else. So when they order all the desserts, then people say, how do you stay slim and eat so much dessert? You ate more than me. A man of 6'4" said to me. And I said, because I never have desserts. That's why. I have a problem with sugar. I do so enjoy cookies, chocolate, ice cream. Bring me a tub of ice cream. I finished the tub. Everybody says, just have a few spoons a day. It's not in my genes. I come from a family that everyone is overweight. So I'm the only one who can keep my weight down, and that they admire a lot. And my twin sister reminds me that you have to tell people you're not naturally lean, and that you have to think of your food every day and every hour, or you gain weight. Because if I don't plan it, if I don't plan my food, I can go off the rails very easily.
Your twin sister is as thin as you are?
No. And neither are my brothers. Yeah. And neither were my parents or my older sister. Yeah.
And how often do you exercise?
Oh, I don't like exercise. So when the gym was open, of course the gyms aren't open now, then I would go do an hour there, half an hour on a bike, and then I can read at the same time because it's boring on a bike. And I don't push too hard. I just do a regular bike, and then I'll do weights and stretches. Yes. Here he is.
Yes.
You see him?
Del Rey, her name.
Same color. Hey, there you are, baby kids. Yeah, now I can hear you heard your name.
So, and your thoughts, because I'm very much into the women's issues. I usually interview a lot of activists from around the world, survivors of violence, abuse, sexual violence in war zones. So your thoughts on violence against women, may I have it?
Any type of violence against women comes from a man who wants control and is weak. But he's tall and bigger and stronger, so he can use violence to control a woman. And that's got to stop. Not only should women share it with women, they should share it with men, so that the men will stop their men from hitting them. I'm sorry that I didn't share it with anyone. When I was married, I was scared. I was scared if I told anybody, they would be beaten up, or I would not be able to see them again. I was ashamed because I had to hide my bruises and embarrassed. I mean, a violent man will beat you usually in private. they're not power, they don't have good enough character to beat you up in front of other people because they know it's wrong. But if men support other men beating up women, we've got to expose them. Really, there's social media now, we have to expose them. But remember, women have been through a worse time than me. That's why I didn't think my story was that bad. But women have been through worse than me, and this has to stop.
But still, violence, abuse is violence, and it's unacceptable. Big, small, deeper, lighter, it does not matter. What matters is that how that violence, what it has caused in you, the impacts on the violence in the person who went through violence. Yes. So I truly believe we all should speak out about it, and you're a true strong voice. We would love to see you as a voice against violence.
Well, I'm surprised how many countries have said there's a lot of violence against women. In every country I've spoken to, they say there's violence against women. That has to stop.
Hopefully, or we should say we know so, to be more optimistic about it. And we should all do something about it. And there are many voices raising up now these days.
The men have to help. The men have to help to stop the men hitting the women. It's not the woman. It's hard for a woman because she could be killed if she opposes that. I mean, because that happens, as you know.
It does.
But if the men will stop the men, that's the way to go, because only strong men can make this change. Weak men will keep on hitting, but strong men are the ones that will make this change.
And it again depends on the mother, on their mother, on how they have raised them, these men.
Yeah, they have to be kind and considerate and respectful.
So we're going through very unprecedented days since 1 year now it's been. What are your thoughts on the pandemic? How it has changed your life?
The first 4 months, I didn't see my children, or I didn't see anyone. My assistant and I just worked together. But we were busy because my book went international. First of all, I did exercise videos and cooking and, that type of thing, and TikTok. And then just to keep ourselves, sane and busy. And then slowly it opened up and I could see my children and my grandchildren, but carefully, very carefully. And then a fortunate thing happened beginning of this year. I got COVID and I had a week of no appetite. So then, when I have no appetite, I'm very sick. I just was weak. I had no appetite. So then, and tested positive. Then after my appetite came back, I was still positive for 3 more days.
Were you hospitalized? Were you in the hospital?
No, I just lost my appetite. I just stayed here. Yeah.
You still have your anticorps?
Yes, well, because then I've tested negative, and I've had quite a few tests negative, because when I work, I have to do another test, and next week I do another test. And of course they're negative, but I'm going to have my antibodies checked because I believe it should be pretty good. Yes. It makes you feel very powerful when you've been through it, but I still wear a mask and I'm still careful.
Maye Musk, last question is that your daughter, since she's a filmmaker, did she come up with an idea to make your book, movie out of your life story?
Well, the thing is, she does romance books to movies, and that's what women really need nowadays, or some romance in movies. So mine isn't really a romance book at all, but if anybody wants to make a movie, she will definitely be the director. I have a very strong daughter. I think she's stronger than me. I think she's learned from me. She's a very strong daughter and a very kind person too. So that's wonderful.
I'm sure. But you have the plans now. You will make a movie.
No, I haven't mentioned that to her.
Sorry, I'm so curious asking all.
No, I just haven't mentioned to her that, do you want to make a movie about my life? At the moment, I'll wait until this book is what made me thought of. I said,
probably there will also a movie coming out of after this book.
This stage of my life, make me an offer I can't refuse. They made me an offer on the book. I couldn't refuse it, and I did it. And let's see if somebody makes an offer on a movie.
It will be nice to watch it. And last question I'm asking, because the viewers will say she didn't ask anything about Elon Musk.
Yes. It's in my book.
Yes. Are you driving? Yes.
Oh, yeah. Immediately when I moved to New York, Elon gave me a Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year ago, I said, I think I want 2 years ago, I said, I think I want a Tesla 3. It's so adorable. He says, no, you get the latest S. I still have the Tesla S.
How is it to drive a Tesla?
Like driving a spacecraft. It's just so wonderful, and you feel very safe. And I don't think I can drive another car because I wouldn't know how to start it.
Are you also interested into cryptocurrencies like your son Elon? He's been tweeting a lot, and people
I don't understand it.
following his tweets lately.
I don't understand it.
Have you ever been to Turkey?
Yes. I've been to Istanbul as a tourist and Dalaman. Beautiful. And then in December or November last year was a dead year. I'm talking about 2019. I went to Bodrum.
You did?
A TV commercial, and it was fantastic. Yes. Yeah, I love Turkey, and there's so much more for me to explore, and I look forward to coming back. We
would love to have you here. We would love to host you here, and maybe for your new book, you will come, to visit here and, meet your readers and your admirers here in Turkey, Istanbul, Bodrum. We'll be very happy after the pandemic to have you here.
Thank you so much.
It
was a pleasure. You are so much fun, and your questions are great. Thank you.
You're a true role model for us women.
Good. Thank you.